Good morning.
Morning.
During the presentation, I'll show you quite a few different tools and links and quite a lot of information. Don't worry too much about making notes about all of the links. At the end, I'll give you one link and you can download the complete presentation that I'll show you. Okay?
Thank you.
Relax. I should be nervous. Okay, as I was just introduced, these are some pictures of my books and my title. My day job is Head of Learning, and I work for an online English school that teaches students 100% online in a virtual classroom. But I'm also an author, teacher trainer, and a blogger. And I have in fact won 2 Innovations Awards. I also have my own digital publishing company where I publish books. So I'm a bit like one of the YouTuber generation. I've become a kind of teacher entrepreneur or something like that. At the end of the presentation, I'll give you a link and a code where you can download one of the books for free. Okay? It's not so generous. They're not expensive anyway. Because they're digital, and so it's easier to make books more cheaply digital. We're going to start with a vocabulary test. And your English teachers, you should be used to this kind of thing. Okay, and I have some vocabulary words. There are some words, and my question is, what is it, and what's it for? You're allowed to cheat in this test. You can ask the person next to you, and I'll give you a couple of minutes to go on to Google and Google it if you don't know. So see if the person next to you knows what these words mean and what they're for. Okay? I'll give you 2 minutes. 2 minutes preparation. I'll show you a definition of one of the words, and you have to tell me which word it is, okay? So that's the definition. What's the word? Okay, ready? Yeah, it's curation. The process of collecting and organising and sharing. How about this one? Ready? Everybody get that one right? Yeah. How about this one? Social bookmarking. Who thinks social bookmarking? Yeah? Well done, fantastic. We're doing well. This one, how about this one? Yeah, everybody knows that one. Hashtag. It's strange because I have a daughter who's 17, and in her generation, they actually say hashtag. You know, in conversation, they go, hashtag, should have seen her clothes. Hashtag, party tonight. Means it's something really important. How about this one? A Facebook group, yeah. How many of you are members of Facebook groups? Not just Facebook, but an actual group on Facebook. Fantastic, right? You could probably go home now, you're not going to learn anything. How about this one? Yeah, PLN, Personal Learning Network. This one? Tweet. How many of you are on Twitter and use Twitter? Okay, but be honest, how many of you use Twitter? Yeah? Okay, great, good. That's good. Lots of people have Twitter and never use it. How about this one? Blog. Yeah, blog. Well done. This one?
Social bookmarking.
Yes, it's a social network. It's actually a group of people. People often refer to Facebook as a social network, and in a way it's not. It's software or a platform that you create a social network on. The network is really people, it's not technology. How about this one? Yeah. Connectivism. How many of you had to look that one up on Google? Or did you already know? You already knew it? Great, perfect. Okay, so you've done very well on your vocabulary test. So what I'm going to be looking at in this session is tools and practices to help teachers develop their teaching autonomously. And it sounds like you're well on your way to doing that already. I have a sentence. This is the beginning of a sentence. Teachers are like sharks. Ask the person next to you what they think the other half of the sentence is. Just ask them, say, what's the other half of that sentence? Ask them.
What do they do? Do you see the students as prey? Shouting. They want to dominate their food chain? Yeah.
Okay,
Shouting, quite angry.
Teachers are like sharks. When they stop moving forward, they start to die. Yeah, and I think that's something quite important that as teachers we need, especially in the world that we live in now, we need to keep moving our practice forward. And it's important that we keep developing. You can't just stop learning when you finish your degree. No. I finished my Masters in Educational Technology about, 7 or 8 years ago. And since then, everything I learned on my Masters has changed because the technology is working so quickly and changing so quickly. So I think you have to really make an effort to keep up with what's happening in education at the moment. But I shouldn't need to tell you that, should I? So, how do you keep moving forward? How do you stop from becoming one of those sped sharks? You can come to conferences like this. I actually did some research into how teachers keep their teaching practice moving forward. If you want to scan the QR code, you can see the results of the research, but these are some of the things that teachers suggested. But the most popular one was still coming to conferences, which is good, but it's not something you can do every day. For some people, it's not even something they can do every year. Coming to a conference can be expensive and difficult to get to. So we can look to the internet for our development. There's a sentence here. Ask the person next to you whether they agree with this. Okay, just say to them, do you agree with that? Oh, ask them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But then you should know what you really need.
You've got to be discriminatory.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
only what you need that's
Yeah.
online. It's
You should be
80%
able.
garbage and 20%
Yeah.
value.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. How many people agree? Who agrees? People who disagree? Yeah, oh, good. People who aren't sure? Yeah, I'm kind of not sure. Because there's a problem with this statement, and this is the problem. This is what happens in 1 minute on the internet. So, 6 million Facebook views and 277,000 status updates. Hashtag, oh my God. So within all of that activity, how do we find the small part of it that we need to develop as teachers? And that's what I want to sort of address here, really. So I'll change this statement to everything you need to know to keep your teaching to develop can be found online somewhere. So let's look at how we find it and how we get that information. And I want to look at some steps to becoming information literate on the internet. As you can see, this is my little daughter. She started very young becoming digital. I think she was about 6 months old then when she called onto her mother like that. Okay, so we'll start off with Twitter, and part of what we need to learn is how to ignore what's irrelevant. If you use Twitter, you probably know that Twitter is like having thousands of people together in one room, and they're all shouting. And what you hear is just lots and lots and lots of noise. So how do we make Twitter useful for ourselves? One of the first things we can do is find useful people to follow. And here, when you download this, there are some recommendations for some useful people to follow. People who are publishing and sharing good information on the internet. So if you're a Twitter user and you found Twitter difficult to use, what you need to do is follow the right people. And these are some tips for people to follow. The other key is hashtags. Whenever somebody posts something to Twitter, they should use a hashtag to show relevance. And these can help you pull out from that huge stream of information the things that are important for you. These are some good examples of hashtags that might be useful for you. Twitter is a great tool, but it has a very bad user interface. This is what my Twitter looks like on my phone, and it's not very user-friendly for discovering information. But if you have a Twitter account, and then you use a different tool called TweetDeck, it will help you stream information according to those hashtags. I'll show you what this looks like. So here you can see TweetDeck operating in my browser, and as you can see there are a number of columns. And at the top of each column I have a hashtag, and that hashtag streams only information that's connected with that particular topic. So it makes it much easier for me to find information that's relevant for me. I don't even have to follow anybody. I can just follow those hashtags. So I have one on education reform, educational technology, web tools, ELT, and I can just scroll down those columns and find something that's relevant for me. And then just click on the links. So that makes Twitter much more accessible and much more useful for me. Whenever I'm having my morning coffee, I can come to Twitter, have a look and find something relevant to read and look at my and start developing my teaching. The other good source of information that I find is through Facebook and joining various Facebook groups. There are loads and loads of different groups related to teaching on Facebook. I follow far too many of them. If you go to groups on Facebook and then discover, if you type in something like ELT or TESOL, you'll find lots of groups related to that topic. When you download the presentation, I've included some recommendations for groups here. These are different groups of teachers who work in English language teaching and share materials from around the world. So you can access huge numbers of different teachers around the world through these groups on specific topics. I've even added one at the bottom which is an Indonesian English Teachers Club, which has about 15,000 members. Any of you members of the Indonesian Teachers Club group? Great, good. So, that's something that I recommend you join because, they'll be part of your own experience. So that's one way to help ignore what's irrelevant and start to focus in on what you need. The second tips that I'll give you is how to get information to come to you, either to come to your email or some other place so that you don't have to constantly go looking for new information. The first one is a tool that helps you create your own newspaper, and it's something called Paperly. All you have to do is go to the website, and I'll show you the website. Once you log in, you just type in a topic that you're interested in. My connection is not working very well at the moment. And then it will select content for you. This is one I prepared earlier. And so it creates a newspaper based around the topic that I'm interested in. And it will send me this to my email every day. So once I've created it, I get one email each day that has my daily newspaper that's related to the topic of my interest. So it searches through all of the things that are being published through Twitter or through the internet on that topic, and it creates a newspaper for me based around that topic. So when I'm having my coffee in the morning, I can come and read that. And then I can go and look at TweetDeck. I drink a lot of coffee in the morning, which really helps. So that's what my own newspaper looks like. The other useful tool I have, which sends me information, is from a social networking site called Digo. Digo has a number of groups which are based around special interests. You can create your own group, or you can join one of the groups that are already created. And the groups, the site collects together information that people within the group share. And then each day you get an email with some links to all the new things that have been shared within that group. So once again, when I'm having my coffee in the morning, I can look at my email and check through these different links on Digo. and find new things to read. This is the third step. The next thing you need is to start categorizing and saving the information that you find. And for this I use a tool called Scoop It, which is a curation tool. There's nothing more frustrating than finding something, when you're having your coffee in the morning, you find something very interesting to read, and you think, I'll come back to that. A week later, you remember the article that you read, and you think, great, where's that article? And you can't find it. So curation is a great way to kind of collect and save those articles and make sure you can find them, and you can come back to them later. Scoop It also enables you to share all of those links as well. So I originally started the site here, which is Learning Technology News, for my master's students when I was working at Westminster University. I had 15 students, and I wanted to share information with them that I thought was interesting. So I started adding 2 or 3 new links each day. But those 15 people, my 15 students stayed subscribed to this site, and now there are 35,000 other people subscribed as well. So it grew quite rapidly, and so you can share with a lot more people. But it's a great way to curate the information that you find. Make sure that you're collecting it, you can find it, and you can share it with other people. And it's very easy to set up. My fourth step is how to make the information into knowledge. There's a very big difference between information and having access to information and that information becoming knowledge. I found a good definition of the difference, actually. That the knowledge is information with experience added. So you have to use the information that you found and share it in some way and do something with it for it to become knowledge. Of course, the most obvious and best way to use it is to take what you're reading while you're having your coffee in the morning. Take what you're reading, think about how you can use it in the classroom, and take it into the classroom and do something with it. Try something new, try out a new tool, try out a new idea. And of course, reflect on that. And I think one of the important things about, or one of the most important tools for reflection is blogging, and that you create your own blog. How many of you are bloggers and have a blog? Yeah. That's good, that's good. It's more than usual. I think it's very important for teachers to blog. And I think it's very important to write about what you do. Even if very few people read it, the process of thinking through, structuring and organising your thoughts about teaching, I think is one of the most developmental processes you can go through. And when you get to the point where you have to click the button to publish your blog, I think that's a time for me when I really have to think carefully about, is this what I believe? You know, lots of people could see this, so you have to feel very confident and sure that it's what you believe. So I think that's a great process to go through. These are some different blogging tools that you can try and use if you don't have a blog already. The first one, Medium, is very popular at the moment with the press. I use the second one down, which is Blogger, which is very old, but it still works fine. The third one, Staffroom, is one that was created in the UK. And if you want to blog within a community that's only teachers, then this is quite a good one to choose. It's very easy to create your blog on it. You just have to register and create a profile. And all of the people on the platform are fellow teachers, a lot of them from the UK. WordPress, of course, is very useful. And if you have a profile on LinkedIn, how many of you are on LinkedIn? Yeah. If you're on LinkedIn, then you can create a blog there or post blogs there as well, which builds up your profile too, which is quite good if you want to get the next job or the next promotion. Here, there's a page that I can recommend. I'll see if I can get connected to the internet and show you it. We have to wind a little bit. It's a page that has a directory of all the people who work within ERT. Or some of the best people who work within ERT and publish their own blog, so that you can go to this page and find some inspiration. I don't think it's not connected. Okay. So it's called Essential Blogs in ELT, and someone has collected about 100 different links to blogs by people who work within English language teaching and share their thoughts. So that's a great place to go and find some inspiration for blogging. So, what next? I'm going to give you a break from listening to me. And I'm going to see how much you've remembered. Okay. So I've been through 4 different steps. Ask the person next to you what the 4 steps were. See if they can remember. I'll just give you a couple of minutes. Try and remember what the 4 steps were with the person next to you.
Can I get my question in first?
Okay, so how many of you can remember all 4 steps? You can? Okay. If you can't, don't worry. At the end, you can download the presentation and you can go through it again. Okay. How many of you can remember all of the vocabulary at the beginning? Yeah, good. Okay. And the last thing is, how many of you can remember the different tools that I've showed you? An example, one was TweetDeck. How many others have I showed you? See if you can remember.
10.
Okay. Well, as you remember, try and think about the one you like most. Okay. Tell the person next to you which one it is. Which one do you like most? Okay. And tell them why.
The Facebook group. Yeah, I've got my account on 2 company pages up as well. There's one for purpose management, which is more general training, commercial development, and then there's one for focus crew, which is the more training. We don't use them as much as we should. My team is kind of disparate. They sometimes come, sometimes go. But I don't follow them until I see them. Put out a post. We should really be posting them. We don't. About one last week, we got 4,000. But then it only gets active page views or more engagements. We started doing this about 6 months ago. And not Opus itself, Opus is one message to thousands really, it's like training research consultants. And then 18 months ago, we just finished a 4 grand research consultants.
Okay. Can I have your attention, please? Okay, so what next? Here I've just made a few quick tips or advice for you on your professional development. I mean, I think it's good to make a specific time each day to do this, to go through the different feeds, the different information that you're finding, and do your curation. For me, it's in the morning when I'm having my coffee. When I have my coffee, I go to TweetDeck, look for new links, check my paperly newspaper, check my social bookmarks, and sort of go through those things. And that's the part of my day which is my professional development. If it's 10 minutes, if it's 1 hour, it doesn't make any difference. Just spend some time on thinking and developing yourself professionally. My second tip is be selective. Especially on things like Twitter, where you find there are 100,000 different things to read. Don't think that you have to read all of them. Just pick 1 or 2 things that you feel are relevant for you. How many people here procrastinate? Yeah. When you have a job that you don't want to do, marking students' homework or something like that. Procrastination. But procrastination time can become your professional development time. So make it productive. Go onto a Facebook group, find something interesting to read, so that you can then feel good about procrastinating. It doesn't have to be, oh my God, I didn't mark my students' homework. It can be fantastic. I did some professional development. So, make your procrastination time productive. Once you've read something, do something with it. Whether it's sharing it with another group, whether it's blogging about it, whether it's taking an idea into your classroom. But try and do something with what you're learning as soon as possible. Try to enjoy it as well. And try to make a plan. A lot of the things I've shown you involve some small degree of technical literacy. finding out how to create a Facebook group or something like that. Here on the presentation, there are links to videos that show you how to do all of those things. So if you're not sure or you don't remember how to do any of them, just watch one of the videos or go to YouTube and Google what you want to know or search for what you want to know. Whenever you want to know how to do something with technology, it's worth going to YouTube first, writing in how to plus the technology name, and you'll find videos of how to do it. There's always someone creating them. But these are some links to some useful bits. There's a video here. This is your homework. Okay? Once you download the presentation, you have to watch this video. It's a video about connectivism. And it shows connectivism in practice and how a student can use connectivism and how it changes the role of the teacher and puts the emphasis on the student for their own development and using the internet for their development. I think this is very important because increasingly our students need to become autonomous learners, and the internet enables that. They can become much more autonomous and learn much more for themselves. You know. And the future belongs to the autonomous learner. So this is your homework to watch it. And this is a picture. These are my two daughters who I mentioned. The older one and the younger one. My older daughter is 17 and she learned in a very different way from the way I learned. She's very independent. She looks at things on the internet. She has my laptop. She has her homework on paper. She has her phone where she's social networking with her friends and SMS texting her friends. And she can do all these things at once. You know. For me, that's amazing. I'm very much a kind of monotasking person. You know. And when I see my daughter doing her homework like this with the TV on, laptop, phone, homework on paper, it drives me insane. and I say to my daughter, look, why don't you stop doing all these other things? Finish your homework, and then you can enjoy doing the other things. And she's like, look, I finished already. It shows me how I did. You know, our students, particularly our younger students, have a very different way of learning from the way that I learn, for sure. But I think I need to adapt the way I learn and the way I teach to match the way she learns, and not the other way round. I don't want teachers who stop my daughter from learning and from multitasking in the way that's natural for her. I want the teachers to change, because particularly, you know, my younger daughter, who's now, she's just under 2 years old, you know, I wonder what her future will bring. She will be that much more technologically connected. As you can see, she was on her mother's iPad from 6 months old. So I wonder, you know, what kind of teachers will she need and how will she learn? And I think it's important for us to become those kinds of teachers, to think about how those students will learn and try to adapt the way we learn and the way we teach to match those. Okay? If you want to keep in touch, I publish an educational technology and ELT newsletter once every 2 weeks. When you download the presentation, you can link to it. If you have a QR code scanner, you can scan the QR code. How many of you use QR code scanners? Good. Oh, that's good. Yeah. Okay. So you can sign up for that if you want to there. And the second thing, if you want to download the presentation, there's a link and a QR code here to download it. So please do that. Try and do that now if you can, if you've got a connection. If you haven't got a connection, take a photograph of the slide and make a note with the link. Then you can download the whole thing at the end. Once you download the presentation, at the end, on the last slide, there's a link to one of my books. And if you follow the link and use the code underneath the picture, you can download the book for free. Just click on Buy Now, enter the code, and you'll get the book for free. Okay? But you have to download the presentation to get it. If you don't download the presentation, you don't get the code. Just one more thing. Here's the blog post that I mentioned with the list of blogs from ELT bloggers. And as you can see, there are a lot of them. Okay. So if you need inspiration about vlogging, this is a great place to come to, and a great place to find great things to read. Okay. Now, I'll give you another quick break from listening to me, and just ask the person next to you, what did you learn from that? What can you remember, and what did you learn from that? Okay? Ask the person next to you, see what you can remember. What did you find out that was new? Ladies and gentlemen, could I have your attention, please?
So it's not easy to sell what you're trying to do.
Okay. That's about as much as I have to say. Please download the presentation, download the free book. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them now. Anybody got? We've got 5 minutes left for questions if anybody has them.
Oh, got a question.
Thank you. My name is David Knowles. I'm with a group called Lotus Educational Services based in Jakarta. Nick, you said that your day job, if you like, was doing in a virtual teaching environment, running English language teaching within a virtual school. I'm wondering, of the tools that you've shown us today, are there any particular things that feed into that activity?
Thank you. As I said, I'm head of learning within an online school, and we have about 80 teachers, all of which I never meet because they're all around the world in different places, and they teach in a virtual classroom with students that they never physically meet. One of the tools that we use is Facebook. We have a Facebook group for all of our teachers, and that enables them to share tips and advice or links to useful websites or teaching materials, and that helps us to build a community of those teachers, because of those 80 teachers never meet each other, so they don't have the same sense of there being a staff room or someone to exchange ideas with, so that our Facebook group provides that.
Right.
Any other questions? Anybody else got a question? If you think of something, I'll be around. I'll be doing the workshop later, so by all means ask away. Okay, thank you very much for listening. And,